Why would a seemingly sweet woman stab her ex 27 times, slit his throat from ear to ear, and shoot him in the face? Was it jealousy or something far darker? What really happened between Travis Alexander and Jodi Arias? Was it a crime of passion or a premeditated act cloaked in obsession? What happened to Travis Alexander? Was Jodi Arias guilty? Why did Jodi Arias kill him? In the beginning, it looked like the perfect match. Travis Alexander, a charismatic, driven, and devout Mormon, had worked his way up from a troubled childhood to become a successful motivational speaker and sales executive. Jodi Arias, a striking young woman with a flair for photography and a soft voice, entered his life at a business conference in Las Vegas in 2006. From the outside, it was a romance filled with promise. But behind the smiles and flirtatious photos was a relationship laced with secrets, obsession, and control. They met at a prepaid legal event, where ambition and charm were currency. Travis, respected in his church and admired in his business, was immediately drawn to Jodi's beauty and warmth. She, in turn, was enamored by his confidence, intellect, and spiritual aura. They began dating soon after, even though Jodi lived in California and Travis was in Mesa, Arizona. The long distance didn't seem to matter at first. Travis introduced her to his faith, and within months, Jodi converted to Mormonism. She seemed willing to do whatever it took to become the woman Travis wanted: religious, pure, devoted. But the physical side of their relationship told a different story. While Travis preached chastity in public and private, their relationship became intensely sexual. Journal entries, phone calls, and later, audio recordings revealed just how steamy and complicated their connection had become. As time went on, things began to unravel. Travis's friends grew uneasy. They described Jodi as possessive and obsessed. One friend claimed that after they broke up, Jodi would sneak into his house through the doggy door. She reportedly slashed his tires twice, and even followed him to dates with other women. Travis started referring to her as crazy, telling friends he feared for his safety, but didn't know how to break free completely. At times, he blocked her number. Other times, he'd fall back into old habits. Despite their official breakup in 2007, their relationship continued off and on with a mix of late-night calls, secret rendezvous, and intense emotional manipulation. Jodi eventually moved to Mesa to be closer to Travis, even though he was clearly trying to move on. When she finally left Arizona, she moved back to Eureka, California, but continued contacting him obsessively. Travis, meanwhile, had started seeing another woman, one who was more in line with his spiritual goals. He was set to take her on a trip to Cancun on June 10, 2008. But he would never make it. Jodi Arias, still clinging to the belief that they were soulmates, allegedly planned a trip from California to Utah, with a detour to Arizona to see Travis one last time. The visit was not on anyone's calendar. No one expected her, and days later, Travis's friends would find him dead in his bathroom, in what authorities would later call one of the most brutal, rage-filled crimes they had ever seen. What turned a passionate love story into a gruesome homicide? That's the question America would soon be asking. June 4, 2008, started like any other day, or so it seemed. According to recovered photographs and phone records, Jodi Arias arrived at Travis Alexander's home in Mesa, Arizona, sometime in the early morning hours. By afternoon, they were together, laughing, taking intimate photos in his bedroom, and even posing for erotic snapshots that would later become key evidence. At 5:29 p.m., the last photo ever taken of Travis was captured. He's in the shower, looking directly at the camera, with a blank expression. Just moments later, all hell broke loose. Travis was attacked in his own bathroom. According to forensic reports, he was stabbed at least 27 times, had his throat slit from ear to ear, nearly decapitating him, and was then shot in the head with a .25 caliber handgun. Blood was everywhere, smeared on the sink, the floor, and the walls. It was a scene of unimaginable violence. Experts say the killing likely began in the shower and ended with Travis crawling down the hallway, trying to escape, before finally collapsing. Oddly, in the midst of this horror, a camera was found, later recovered from Travis's washing machine. Though the memory card had been deleted, investigators were able to retrieve the images. Photos of Jodi and Travis just hours before the murder and a few accidental, blurry images taken during or shortly after the killing, possibly as the camera was dropped on the floor. Jodi was nowhere to be found. She had left Arizona and was on her way to Utah, where she met up with another man, acting completely normal. But investigators quickly began piecing things together. And soon, all signs pointed back to Jodi Arias, the woman Travis had once loved, and the last person to ever see him alive. When news of Travis Alexander's death broke, Jodi Arias acted shocked, even devastated. She called Travis's phone, left voicemails, and posted a heartfelt message on his MySpace page. But detectives were already skeptical. Her behavior didn't match her story. When questioned by police in July 2008, Jodi offered her first explanation. She hadn't been in Arizona at all. She claimed she was on a road trip to Utah and had no idea what happened to Travis. But her alibi quickly began to crack. Investigators found gas receipts and rental car mileage that didn't add up. Even more damning, a camera recovered from Travis's washing machine that captured time-stamped photos of Jodi and Travis together on the very day of his murder. Confronted with the photographic evidence, Jodi changed her story. She now claimed that two masked intruders had broken into Travis's home, murdered him, and let her escape. But there was no evidence of a break-in, no signs of robbery, and no footprints or DNA pointing to anyone else. Eventually, Jodi admitted to killing Travis, but in self-defense. She claimed he became angry and attacked her, forcing her to fight for her life. Investigators and prosecutors didn't buy it. Travis had been shot and stabbed multiple times, an act of overkill that didn't match the panic of someone defending themselves. The crime scene showed signs of control, rage, and premeditation. Jodi's behavior also raised eyebrows. During her interrogation, she applied makeup, did headstands, and joked with detectives. It was unsettling, cold, almost rehearsed. By September 2008, Jodi Arias was indicted for first-degree murder. But as the case headed to trial, no one could have predicted just how bizarre, salacious, and widely publicized it would become. The world was about to meet the real Jodi Arias. Jodi Arias's trial began in January 2013, and it quickly became a media circus. Millions were glued to their screens, watching the case unfold like a real-life psychological thriller. The prosecution argued it was cold-blooded, premeditated murder. Jodi had rented a car, dyed her hair brown, turned off her phone, and brought extra gas cans to avoid leaving a trail. Her motive? Rage, jealousy, and the final realization that Travis had moved on without her. The defense painted a different picture. Jodi was the real victim, driven to kill in self-defense after enduring emotional and physical abuse. She took the stand for 18 days, a highly unusual move, describing their volatile relationship in vivid, often graphic, detail. But the jury and the public weren't convinced. The evidence was overwhelming. Time-stamped photos, a recovered bullet casing matching the gun, and cuts on her hands consistent with the attack. Her terseless courtroom demeanor and contradictory statements raised doubts about her credibility. By the end of the trial, Jodi Arias wasn't just a defendant, she was a cultural phenomenon. But beneath the headlines and tabloid frenzy, one truth remained. A young man was brutally murdered, and justice was only just beginning. On May 8, 2013, after 4 months of explosive testimony and nearly 15 hours of deliberation, the jury delivered its verdict. Jodi Arias was guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom erupted. Some wept, others cheered. Travis Alexander's family embraced, finally seeing accountability for the brother they lost so violently. But the trial didn't end there. The sentencing phase became just as chaotic. Jodi gave a bizarre press conference after her conviction, claiming she would rather get the death penalty than spend life in prison. Yet during her official sentencing plea, she begged for life, citing her potential to contribute positively from behind bars. The jury couldn't agree on whether she deserved death, resulting in a mistrial for the penalty phase. A second jury also failed to reach a unanimous decision, sparing Jodi from execution. In 2015, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Still, questions linger. Did she act out of jealous rage or calculated vengeance? Was this a spontaneous fight gone wrong, or a plan set in motion long before June 4th? One thing is clear: Jodi Arias' story still sparks debate, years after the gavel fell, and for many, closure remains just out of reach. The Jodi Arias case remains one of the most captivating and controversial true crime stories in modern history. But why? Why does this particular murder continue to dominate headlines, social media threads, and late-night YouTube dives? Part of the intrigue lies in the duality of Jodi herself, the soft-spoken, artistic young woman who transformed into a cold-blooded killer. Her calm demeanor contrasted so sharply with the brutality of the crime that it left the public stunned. How could someone so seemingly normal commit such a horrific act? Then there's the love story gone wrong, a toxic relationship driven by obsession, rejection, and emotional control. The explicit text messages, the hidden recordings, the secret rendezvous. It all played out like a soap opera, except this one ended in murder. The trial also amplified the fascination. Jodi's 18 days on the witness stand made her a national spectacle. Every eye roll, every smirk, every tear, analyzed in real time. Online forums, documentaries, and podcasts still dissect every moment. Was Jodi a victim, a master manipulator, something in between? It's that uncertainty, that psychological gray area, that keeps people coming back. Not just for the crime, but for the questions it still refuses to answer. Experts suggest she exhibited traits of borderline personality disorder, intense fear of abandonment, unstable relationships, and extreme reactions. Others argue she was just manipulated. Was she mentally ill or just deadly obsessed? In the end, she left behind more than just a brutal crime scene. She left a story still debated today of love, betrayal, and the darkest depths of obsession. What did Jodi Arias leave behind that no one has talked about? Thank you for following this series. Share your theory in the comments. Subscribe, share, and like for future case deep dives. This story might be closed, but the questions are still wide open.